I have a scar on my side that saved my sister's life. At least, that's what I believed for 5 years. Now I know the truth. The scar didn't save her. It bought her a sports car. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let me know where you're listening from in the comments. My name is Sasha. I'm 32. My twin sister is Jenna. We look like mirrors, but our hearts are different. I like a quiet life, a steady job, my books, my routines. Jenna? Jenna loved the thrill. The fast crowd, the shiny things, the dice roll. She was always in some kind of trouble, and I was always the one helping her out. The big trouble started when she came to me, pale and shaking. She said she owed money. A lot of it. To people who don't accept excuses. I gave her what I had saved, but it was a drop in the bucket. We cried together, not knowing what to do. Then she got sick. Really sick. She collapsed. Our family doctor, Dr. Vance, rushed her to the hospital. The news was a nightmare, sudden kidney failure. Jenna needed a transplant to live. I was tested first. Of course I was. We're twins. When Dr. Vance told me I was a perfect match, I didn't hesitate for a second. Take it, I said. Take whatever she needs. The look on Jenna's face in that hospital bed, it was pure relief. She held my hand so tight. You're saving me, Sasha. You're my hero. I pushed down my own fear. This was my sister. The surgery was harder than I imagined. The pain after was a deep, grinding ache that never quite left. Recovery was slow. I had to change everything, how I ate, how I exercised. I got tired so easily. My body felt less. Jenna's recovery was a miracle. She was up and vibrant in weeks. She said she felt born again. I have your strength in me now, she'd smile. It made my own pain feel worth it. But then, things started to change. Suddenly, Jenna had money. A lot of it. She showed up at my apartment 1 month after the surgery in a brand new, expensive car. Jenna, how? I asked, still moving slowly from my couch. Luck, sis, she beamed, tossing her new designer keys. I met an investor. Finally caught a break. It was strange. The sister who couldn't pay her rent was now flashing cash, going on trips, living a life of luxury. Meanwhile, I was struggling to pay the mountain of medical bills from the donation. I was using my savings, even taking a small loan. I was always exhausted. When I mentioned my struggle, her sympathy felt thin. Oh, you'll bounce back, Sash. Stop worrying so much. 5 years passed. The fatigue became my normal. Jenna's life got bigger and brighter. The guilt from that time I saw her bank statement in her kitchen drawer ate at me. She was spending more on a handbag than I made in a month. Last week, the cold I had turned into something worse. My doctor, a new one not connected to Dr. Vance, was concerned. For a kidney donor, your energy levels are unusually low. It might help if I could see the full surgical report from your donation to understand the procedure better. I called Dr. Vance's office to request the records. The nurse was friendly. Of course, Sasha. We'll send over the file from your nephrectomy right away. I hung up and the word echoed in my head. Nephrectomy. I knew that word. I had read it in my own research. A nephrectomy isn't a transplant surgery. It's the medical term for the removal of a kidney. My heart began to pound. Why would my file say kidney removal and not kidney donation? Wouldn't Jenna's file say kidney transplant? A cold, terrible feeling started in my stomach. I thought of Jenna's instant wealth, her miraculous recovery, my endless struggle. I walked to my desk, my hands trembling. I opened my laptop. I typed a name into the search bar I had seen on a receipt in Jenna's apartment months ago, a name I'd brushed off. A company called Vitali Solutions. The first link that appeared wasn't for a biotech firm. It was a news article. The headline read, Shadow Networks, the black market for organs. I couldn't breathe. I clicked it. The article described how illegal organ traffickers use shell companies to pay donors or to pay people for stolen tissue. The word Vitalis was mentioned in a footnote as a suspected front. I sat back, the room spinning. The scar on my side burned. My sister wasn't sick. She was broke. And she, with Dr. Vance's help, didn't want my kidney. They just wanted to sell it. The words on my computer screen blurred. Black market? Organ trafficking. The phrases hammered in my head, mixing with the memory of Jenna's bright smile in her new car. A car she bought 1 week after major, life-saving surgery. A quiet, solid feeling replaced my shock. It wasn't sadness. It was a cold, clear focus. I needed proof. Real proof. My first move was the receipt. I remembered seeing it months ago, stuck in an old cookbook in Jenna's kitchen. I called her, making my voice weak and tired. "Jenna, I'm feeling really low. Could you bring over some of that soup you make? I just need my sister." She agreed, her voice full of that fake concerned sweetness she'd perfected. An hour later, she dropped off a container at my door. "Feel better, Sash," she called, rushing off to a spa day. The moment her car was gone, I went straight to her apartment. I still had her spare key for emergencies. This was an emergency. My hands shook as I opened the cookbook. There it was. A crisp bank transfer receipt. From Vitali Solutions. Amount: $250,000. Date: 1 week after our surgery. The memo line said, "Tissue procurement fee." Tissue. My tissue. My kidney. I took a photo with my phone. My proof. Next, I needed the medical truth. I called my new doctor's office. "I'm so sorry to bother you," I said, my voice trembling for real now. "But about that word, nephrectomy, could there be any other reason my file would say that if I was a donor?" The nurse was kind. "Well, it's the technical term for the removal procedure. But for clarity, donor files usually reference the transplant. It's very odd that your twin's file wouldn't mirror the same terminology. It might be worth requesting a copy of her surgical file for comparison." That was my opening. I pretended to be Jenna, calling Dr. Vance's office. I put on a bright voice. "Hi, it's Jenna Black. I'm applying for a big life insurance policy, and they need the full surgical report from my kidney transplant. Can you email it to me?" I gave them my own email address. Within an hour, it arrived. The document was detailed, official-looking. It described a successful kidney transplant. But as I read it, my blood ran cold. It listed the surgical team, the anesthesiologist, names I didn't recognize from my own hospital stay. The date was correct, but the hospital wing listed was for a different specialty. It was a complete forgery. The final piece was the most painful. I had to hear it from her. I invited Jenna over for coffee 2 days later. I set my phone to record, hidden under a magazine. She floated in, smelling expensive. "You look better," she lied. "Jenna," I started, stirring my coffee slowly. "I've been thinking. My medical bills from the donation, they're really weighing on me. That loan is tough. Since your investments did so well from that lucky break right after the surgery, is there any way you could help me? Just a little." Her face changed. The friendly mask slipped, showing a flash of annoyance. "Sasha, we've talked about this. You need to manage your money better. I can't just bail you out. That money is tied up." It just seems like a lot of money, so suddenly, I pressed gently, playing confused. "Right when you got sick." She sighed, a heavy, put-upon sound. "Look, not everyone plans for every little problem. Some of us take risks that pay off. You gave me a kidney because you're my sister. That was your choice. What I did with my recovery is my business. We're not the same person. Your choice. My business." The words were like ice. "Did you ever even need it, Jenna?" The question left my lips in a whisper. She froze. For a second, pure panic flashed in her eyes, the same eyes that are identical to mine. Then it was gone, replaced by cold anger. "How dare you? After everything I went through? Dr. Vance has the records." I was dying. "Dr. Vance has 2 sets of records," I said, my voice now steady. I was done pretending. "Mine says they removed a kidney. Yours says you received one. Which is the lie?" She stood up so fast her chair scraped the floor. "You're jealous. You're sick and tired and jealous of my life. Maybe you're having regrets. Well, that's your problem." She pointed a perfectly manicured finger at me. "Don't you ever accuse me of this again. That kidney saved my life. You want to be bitter about it? Fine. Lose my number." She stormed out, slamming the door. I played back the recording. I had it. Her anger, her deflection, her refusal to answer. It was all there. That night, I did the hardest thing. I hacked her email. The password was our childhood pet's name. She was sentimental about the past she was ruining. I searched for Vitalis and Vance, and I found them. The emails. They were between Jenna and Dr. Vance from before the surgery. Subject: Logistics. Jenna wrote, "The buyer is confirmed. Payment upon harvest. Are you sure you can manage the hospital paperwork?" Dr. Vance replied, "The system is easy to fool. I'll handle the diagnoses and the fake transplant record. Just make sure your sister doesn't get cold feet." Jenna's final email: "She won't. She's too trusting. She'll believe she's a hero. It's perfect." I read that last line over and over. She's too trusting. It's perfect. I printed every email. The stack of paper was heavy with betrayal. I had it all now. The financial proof. The medical fraud. The recorded confession. The written conspiracy. I looked at the evidence spread on my table. The kind, quiet sister was gone. In her place was someone new. Someone who knew the truth. My sister sold a part of my body and watched me struggle in the life she crippled. She thought her secret was safe forever. But I had just found the keys to her beautifully crafted, perfectly guilty world. And I was ready to turn the lock. 2 weeks later, I got an invitation. It was for a big party at a fancy hotel downtown. Jenna was celebrating a huge new business deal with an investor named Mr. Thorne. This was her final step into a legitimate, rich life, a life built on my kidney. I put the invitation down. I looked at the folder on my table, full of my evidence. This was the stage. I dressed carefully, not in a party dress, but in a sharp, serious suit. I looked like a lawyer going to court. The hotel ballroom was glittering. I saw Jenna immediately. She was glowing, laughing, holding a glass of champagne. She looked like she owned the world. Dr. Vance was there too, standing nervously near the wall. I waited until Jenna stepped onto a small stage to give a speech. The room quieted down. "Thank you all for celebrating with me," she said, her voice bright. "This deal is about more than money. It's about trust. It's about second chances and building something real." That was my cue. I walked to the front of the room. People moved aside, confused. Jenna's smile froze when she saw me. The microphone was right there. "Sasha," she said, the name cracking. "What are you doing?" I took the microphone from her hand. I turned to face the crowd, my heart pounding, but my voice was steady. "My name is Sasha Black. I am Jenna's twin sister. 5 years ago, she told me she was dying. She needed a kidney transplant to live." I paused, looking at the investor, Mr. Thorne, who was watching intently. I gave her one of mine. I could see people nodding, thinking this was a touching story. "Her recovery was a miracle," I continued. "Mine was long and hard. I have permanent health problems. I took out loans to pay my medical bills. And 1 week after our surgery, Jenna bought a $250,000 sports car." A murmur went through the crowd. Jenna's face was white. "I found the receipt," I said. I held up the printed paper for everyone to see. The payment came from a company called Vitalis Solutions, a company linked to black market organ trafficking. Now the room was dead silent. "Her doctor, Dr. Vance, is here tonight," I said, pointing to her. Dr. Vance looked like she wanted to disappear. "They faked the kidney failure. I was never a donor. I was a source. They removed my kidney and sold it. The car, the apartment, the money for this business deal, it was all bought with the profit from selling a part of my body." Jenna finally found her voice. "She's lying. She's sick and jealous." I pulled out my phone. "Let's all hear what you said when I asked you about it last week." I pressed play. The recording from my kitchen filled the silent ballroom. "You gave me a kidney because you're my sister. That was your choice. What I did with my recovery is my business." I stopped the recording. I looked at Mr. Thorne. "Is that the partner you want? A person who would do this to her own twin?" Mr. Thorne stood up, his face dark with disgust. He looked at Jenna, then at me. "The deal is off." Immediately. He walked out of the ballroom without another word. His team followed him. The party was over. Jenna's perfect life collapsed in 60 seconds. I turned to her and Dr. Vance. You have two choices. Choice 1. I give all this evidence, the emails between you, the fake medical records, this receipt to the police. You will be arrested for organ trafficking and fraud tonight. Jenna was crying now, tears of rage and terror. Choice 2, I said, calm as stone. You both sign a full confession for my lawyer. And you sign over every single thing you bought with that money. The car, the apartment, your investment accounts. Everything becomes mine. If you ever contact me or come near me again, the confession goes straight to the police. It was not a choice. It was surrender. They signed the papers right there in the empty, ruined ballroom. A month later, everything was transferred to me. I sold the flashy car. I sold the expensive apartment. I took the money and did two things. First, I paid off all my medical debts and bought a small, safe home for myself. Second, I started a small foundation to help real organ donors with their recovery costs. The last time I saw Jenna, she was just a face in a crowd. She looked ordinary. She looked small. I felt nothing. The scar on my side is still there. But it doesn't mean what it used to. It doesn't mark the day I saved my sister. It marks the day I learned a terrible truth. Sometimes the person closest to you is capable of the deepest cut. But it also marks the day I found my own strength. I took the price of my own body and used it to build an honest life. Her revenge was a secret crime. My revenge was the simple, powerful truth. Thanks for listening to the end of my story. If you believe that even when you feel broken, you can find the strength to rebuild and reclaim your life, don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories of truth and justice.